There's a feeling, and maybe a tiny bit of a feeling of uncertain times with Clemson, but that's coming off of an 11-3 year. So you're not super concerned about what this team can do. When you look at what the talent they have coming back and you look at the 10 players we'll talk about today, Clemson has big goals thanks to a lot of things that they do really well. And it's just a matter of tweaking a few things to elevate this team to get back to where they want to be. We'll start with Xavier Thomas, the super senior who came back for one final season, has explosive ability, but it's going to be his leadership that really takes this team to a new level. You lose a ton of talent on that defensive line with Brian Bresee and Miles Murphy, KJ Henry departing, but you still have players like Thomas. You have players like Orohoro, Tyler Davis. I think that this team is just fine. It's just a matter of getting those young guys up to speed to create depth on the defensive line. The offensive line also plays a big role, and it's going to be a new system under Garrett Riley. Will Putnam returns at center, and returning your center is probably the best one to return because of the leadership they display, the importance they have in the offense. Will Putnam has 47 games of experience, so you're bringing a veteran who has a ton of playing time, has played a ton of snaps. That is huge. The secondary is a concern from last year, but it's because they were inconsistent. But I think the talent level is there. Nate Wiggins is one of those guys. Nate Wiggins is a perfect example for the secondary. Someone who at times looked really, really good, one of the better cornerbacks in college football, and then at times looked really, really poor. And I think that finding that consistent balance is huge for him. He's someone who can be a big playmaker. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. He's equipped to face some of these talented players that you'll see Clemson play, and his ability to take this secondary to another level will play a big role in how successful this team will be in 2023. Tyler Davis is back, like I mentioned, a player with a ton of talent and a ton of reps under his belt. 111 tackles, 26 and a half tackles for loss, 15 and a half sacks. The interior defensive line is in good hands, but again, it just comes down to depth. And it's not a question of who's going to be the starters. It's just a matter of when they get tired or if they get hurt, who are the guys behind them that can take a step forward. We've also entered the Cade Klubnik era now that DJU is gone, and Garrett Riley's arrival could not come at a better time. Cade Klubnik needed a jolt. This offense needed a boost, and Garrett Riley figures to provide exactly that. You're looking at a team that, again, has the talent and has a player in Klubnik that can be really good. We just need to see the consistency. We also need to see some better decision making. At times, he made some questionable decisions, but that's a young guy that's still learning things. And now he inherits a Garrett Riley system that will make him an explosive weapon and someone that could take this offense to new heights. The passing attack specifically will play a huge role in that. And Antonio Williams could be someone that takes a step forward, has a big breakout year for Clemson. Last year, 604 yards and 4 touchdowns. He is a reliable playmaker for this team, for the Tigers, and he is someone that I think can take a step forward and have a huge year. At 5'11", 195 pounds, you may see him operate more in the slot, and what he can do there is very explosive, very dangerous. But I really like what you saw from Garrett Riley, how he utilized a guy like Nate Barber, how he utilized, I think Darius Davis is a good example of that too. Those two guys will kind of tell you what Antonio Williams can do. Now, they're maybe not comparable in terms of skill set, but when you look at the position they play and where they'll be on the field, that could give you an idea of what you should expect. Going back to the defense, Ruko Orho, you're looking at a player who, again, like Tyler Davis, has plenty of experience, 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, had a breakout year in 2022, and ultimately decided to come back to school. And that was kind of a surprise, but it was a welcome surprise for a team that honestly has a really good defense. This is still going to be a really talented defense. This is still going to be one of the best defenses in college football. It's just a matter of throwing up certain things and obviously losing Brent Venables hurt in that regard, but you still have plenty of talent. And there's really no excuse why you can't be one of the best or one of the better defenses in college football. And we'll mention another 2 players here. First is going to be Jeremiah Trotter. Now, whether you want Jeremiah Trotter or Barrett Carter higher, it doesn't really matter. Both players are extremely talented. Jeremiah Trotter obviously has the pedigree, he has the production, and he is a veteran who knows how to get the job done. And obviously, last year was the first year of his ability. We saw his first year as a starter, 13 and a half tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 89 tackles, knows how to get the job done, an experienced playmaker now. someone who can get his teammates up to speed, and someone who expects big things from himself and this unit this year. Barrett Carter is the other guy, and I like Barrett Carter just a little bit better. I think he has a little bit more athleticism that helps him a little bit more, but you're still kind of like picking and choosing. You're picking, nitpicking between these two. But Barrett Carter is also extremely talented, extremely productive as well. 73 tackles, 10 and a half tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. And again, this is just a really fun group to watch. This front seven has so much talent. It just comes down to what the secondary can do. A team that finished 76th in passing, obviously defending the pass, obviously needs to get better. And you start with the front seven, and then hopefully your secondary can get up to speed as well. The best player on this team to me is Will Shipley, and he's still one of the underrated running backs in college football. Yes, he does get a lot of love, but because there's so many talented running backs, he almost flies under the radar as well. Over 1,100 yards last year, 15 touchdowns, a resilient player that refuses to go down, athleticism to hurdle guys. He does a little bit of everything for this team. He does a little bit of everything for this offense, and they can also utilize him in the passing attack. I think he'll be the biggest benefactor of Garrett Riley's arrival, whether that's as a runner or as a pass catcher. You look at what TCU did last year, and Will Shipley should be very excited. Clemson fans should be very excited, and they should be able to get back where they need to be, which is back in the college football playoff.